Good morning, hello, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm Abby Hagyard. This is my tiny corner office looking over the world, which is in Ottawa, Canada at the moment. Very, very, very rainy. And so accordingly, I have said, watch this. Ta-da! So I have a thing I want to talk to you about today that is very funny. Hang on a second. Cheers. Oh, so good. Alrighty then. I came up with a word. It's just I was climbing in the shower, climbed back out of the shower to write it down so I wouldn't forget it. So the new word is an ominist. You know what an ominist is? As far as I'm concerned, an ominist is a pessimist who keeps telling you stuff that's going to go wrong. Doom, gloom. You know, Job, a Fitzbullock with a little cloud over their head. I thought, yeah, that's about it. So no matter what you say to an ominist, they're going to find the pebble in the shoe. No matter how sunny the day is, they're going to find a reason to be blue. And before I continue on this rant, I want to welcome everybody back. Thank you so much for watching and sharing and joining. And I may have a new viewer on Facebook. I'm hoping she figures out how to log in and watch. We had an amazing exchange the other day. She found me on YouTube, and she's from Florida. It turns out we have a whole bunch of stuff in common, and she's working her way toward figuring out what kind of a life coach she wants to be, which is lovely. So where we are now is we are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, of course, we are on Facebook, of course, we're also on Instagram and Twitch, and I'm trying to figure out, and if anybody can help me, that would be so. Good morning, Maggie. There you are. I just did an intro for you. If anybody out there can help me figure out how to get myself on Spotify and Substack without losing my mind, that would be really swell, because I spend a lot of time on Sunday talking with well-meaning but completely unhelpful tech support. Bless their hearts. They must drink heavily or something when they get off their calls, poor things. In any event, the reason I want to be on Spotify is because it is a completely different platform, and I want to reach out to new people. And the reason, of course, that I want to be on Substack is that I already have an Abstack. I'm on Substack, Abstack, but written, and I want to start doing video. And I thought, hey, we could just roll them all into one. The other thing I did on Sunday was I found something called a Stan, S-T-A-N, Stan store. And you can sell stuff in a store, and you can sell products and services in a Stan store, and you can put your Stan store on Facebook or wherever, whatever your platform is. And I thought, well, huzzah. So what I did, that only took a minute. What I did was I sort of beta tested. I put 3 things up. And what I would love is to have you, if you go to my Facebook page, it's right underneath the intro bio at the top of the Abby page, and it's a highlighted link. If you go and have a look, I'd like you to tell me what you think and your insights on what I should change. Because what I basically want to do is I want to give people a taste. It's like going to Costco, really. I want to give people a taste of what happens. One of the things that I offer to people all the time is 15 minutes. 15 minutes with me, ask me anything. I did it as a TV pilot once, and it was really amazing and really awesome, which is why my new speakers agency, we're going to be doing that a lot. 15 minutes with it begins with me telling you something, telling you a theme, telling you an idea, giving you information, or one of our speakers does. And then the 15 minutes is you ask questions. You give us your insights. You become part of the conversation, so that it's not just, why is it always all about TED at a TED Talk? Why isn't it interactive? Why aren't we, leveraging each other's insights and ideas and ahas? So 15 minutes with Abby. Seriously, you ask me anything, and I tell you what I think and where to go with it. And then if that resonates with you, then we work out a plan, and we can get on longer calls. The whole point is, good morning, Freddie. It's so nice to see you. The whole point is that I've been working up to this. This is ABCAST 399. Thursday this week is ABCAST 400. I have been doing these videos since December 2021. And I have done this deliberately, purposefully, to give you all, bless you, an opportunity to say, like it, don't like it, interesting, let's see what else you've got, as I explain to you why it's not going as well as it could, how the ball slipped through our fingers, what we do to get it back. And I'm not flinging things into the wind and hoping they stick. I'm bringing to the conversation an entire lifetime as a military kid, resetting and refocusing and reclaiming who I am. Roughly every 15 minutes, every time we got pulled out and taken and dropped again, I had to begin again. My understanding of uncertainty, my understanding of how we look after ourselves, is rooted in my survival tactics since first posting. I was 3 months old. So if I'm not good at it by this time, we should just take me out back, shoot me in the head, and bury me feet up, right? And so because I'm good at it, because it is the core reason for my longtime success in the entertainment industry, which is, by the way, right up there with hired killing as perilous and unpredictable and mentally and emotionally and physically exhausting. It is such a tough industry. And if you can maintain, if you can rebrand, if you can stay in it with your vitality intact, then you are a lion. You are exactly who you need to be, where you need to be. And I am so excited that I have the capacity to help if you've lost your way, if you've slipped off the path, if you're dealing with some grief, I can help you find your way back. So that's what the stand store is. It's like a Costco try before you buy. It's a nibble fest, right? And then starting in November, I promised in July that we would be doing a book launch in November 16th. We are, in fact, doing a book launch in November, on November 16th. We are doing actually more than one book launch. We are also doing a live first launch peak at my new one-woman show. And if I can pull them out of all of their busy schedules, several of our new speakers are going to join me. You're going to meet them. And we might even be able to beta test 15 minutes with. So it's going to be a busy, fabulous, day, November 16th. And there's also a kind of a sneaky, wonderful celebration that I'll tell you about later. Anyway, that's not the introduction to the opposites. That's a pitch for a whole lot of stuff. So now today I want to get into what the theme is. And the theme for today's video, tell me what you think about this, Maggie. The theme for today's video is, have you ever shown up without your baggage? Have you ever stepped up and said, here I am, free and clear? It's a challenging question. And the reason it's challenging is because so many of us think we can multitask. So many of us think, oh no, I got this. And we have to remind ourselves first, and everyone else next, that if you're sitting beside me and you're on your phone and I'm asking you a question and I say, I'll wait till you're done, and you say to me, no, I can do both, my answer is, that's rude. Pick one. I'll wait. And I'm happy to wait. I'm happy to wait because it doesn't occur to me that I'm more important than whatever it is that you're dealing with. It could be something really, really time sensitive, in which case go for it. But if it isn't and you think that we are together, luckily, happily, doing what we do that is magic, and you somehow have permission to rank me second, because you can't do two things and give 100% to each, because we only have 100%. It means that if you're doing something else, you're giving me 50%, while I am giving you 100. If you think that 50 is good enough, you are sadly mistaken, and I will wait. This happens all the time. I was watching. There's a lovely doctor. His name is Zach Bush, and he was saying that the heartbreak that we are inflicting on ourselves is that we are no longer connecting to each other when we can. When a couple goes out for dinner and they're right there together, they made the decision, but they're both on their phones. They've disconnected. He has said studies have shown that a 15-second hug, an open-hearted hug, a regular hug, oh, yeah, no, that's not open-hearted. An open-hearted hug is a full-on hug, 100%, holding hard, leaning in. A 15-second open-hearted hug can completely defeat, override cortisol, can completely elevate your mood, change your ability to focus, get rid of brain fog, help you digest your food, sleep better. Studies have shown it. Scientists have done the studies. They've mapped the brain. A 15-second hug. So what we are doing here, thee and me, is not 15 seconds, clearly, and it's not physical, but it is visual. And while I have a lot of things in my background, I'm doing nothing else other than occasionally picking up my mug and saying, cheers. Or I'm apologizing as I pick up my weapon of mass construction to write down something that's just occurred to me that I want to remember for later to share with you. So when we don't come open-hearted and ready to lean in, to give 100%, how much do you think we take away? How much benefit do you think we achieve? How fulfilled are we? And the answer is not much. It is in direct proportion. Every action has an equal and opposite. The same amount you give is the amount you receive. If you give half-hearted, if you give in a negative frame, you get back in a negative frame. Why? Because that is what we attract. You can reach to me and be in a negative mood, and I won't allow it. I won't allow it to wash over me. I will give back to you from my well of positivity. But if you've decided to be an ominist, you won't hear me. Everything that will come to you through a filter of ominous negativity. Well, probably this and probably that. They have these things. I don't know if you've noticed this. They have these things on these reels now. The people who are getting older are starting to worry about these things and these things. And they're saying, how can I fix that? Well, you could stop walking around like this. That would be Where did those lines come? I don't know. Repetition? So, have you ever, and the picture I put up on Facebook today to tease the video is the screen grab that was done back when we were shooting You Can't Do That on Television, and it was the Halloween episode, and Dad threw a bucket of water on Mom when Lisa opened the door. Mom is standing there holding 2 paper bags of groceries. And Dad threw the bucket because the doorbell had rung several times before, and it was all kids trick-or-treating, right? Ringing the bell and running away. And Mom got thoroughly drenched. inside backstage tidbit trivia, it took 6 takes. I think it needed 6. It may not have. That may have been some kind of thing. By the end of it, if you go back and you go on YouTube and you look for it, there's a bit of the poor mom wig, just a completely straight thing dripping down my face. It was an acrylic wig, it was like a Brillo pad, right? But it was so wet after 6 dousings. It just for and I had the bags up because you don't want to get drenched. I had a blue velvet coat on. The coat was drenched. I started the day, it weighed 5 pounds. By the end of the day, it weighed 105 pounds, soaking wet. What we go through, what we go through to send a message, right? What I'm saying to you today is we get into a habit, and I found myself doing it Friday night. My beautiful, beautiful, so grateful apartment building is steps away from university. And in the fall, they have events, they have football games, they have celebrations, they have all kinds of cool stuff. And on a Friday night, they will have the entire parking lot full of kids and a bandstand and music and a DJ and speakers that broadcast the music to Mars, let alone my apartment, which is right there. So fortunately, there's a noise bottle. I mean, it was fun. It's fun. The music's great. The kids are great. It's all wonderful. There's no complaint. It's just, sort of getting down for 11 o'clock and I'm a little tired and say, "Oomba, oomba, 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 oomba." Okay, good. Yes, rah, rah. It's not lullaby music. Eventually, my brain just said, "Okay, done," and went asleep. When I woke up at, I don't know what time it was, 1 in the morning, it was so quiet. It was so quiet. I thought, what's happened? So I could look at the noise factor and the oomba, oomba, oomba thing going on in a grumpy in a grumpy mood. Except, you know, if if I hadn't already had a really full day, I might have gone down. I might have joined them. Why not? It's free. They'd probably go, "Who are you? Who cares?" Right? The the thing is, it's what we see that becomes our reality. It's what we're willing to invest in that becomes our outcome. It's what our purpose is in getting in the boat or out. It's what our passion, it's what our goal, it's what our vision, and most importantly of all, it's what our comfort zone, our vision of safety dictates, that delivers what we see, we hear, we feel, we believe, and we act on. When I live in a capital city, and a capital city in any country, they talk about the company store, a town that has one dominant business, one dominant enterprise. In a capital city, the dominant enterprise is the governing of the country. That's why the city came into being. Yeah, college life, gotta love it. So I'm just getting rid of a spammy thing. Here we go. Yes, Freddie, you're absolutely right. College life is a riot, and I don't have to live in the dorm. I'm over here. So what we see as our reality comes to us through filters, right? If when you're young, you have a very negative experience at anything, you may be getting in a car, maybe seeing an animal for the first time, maybe going to a place for the first time, maybe tasting some food for the first time, and you have a very negative experience. Something happens while you were having the experience then in this part of the brain, how you felt and what happened are linked. It's how we as creatures learn how to survive. You know, when there's no wind and the trees that are moving, the bushes are rustling, that's not good, probably. Could be a birthday surprise, maybe not. Could be feeding time, among the puma. We don't know. We will in a minute. So we learn to associate sounds and sights and smells and tastes and actions with outcomes that we previously knew. And then until we have an opportunity to see it differently, that's the filter we see it always through. So in the capital city, people tend to talk a lot about what's going on in the world, out there, over there, beyond. Many people, though, not the most, many people simply live in the capital city. They simply struggle with the realization that that diet that was supposed to lose them 7 pounds by Friday didn't work and the pants still don't fit. Many people in the capital city are staring at the phone, wondering why he or she or they have not texted yet. Many people are starting something new for the first time, and they're walking into their experience with equal parts anticipation and uncertainty. Because how we connect to each other in the world is in layers. It's not Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is the layers in which we come into awareness of the world around us. Our first recognition of the world is discovering ourselves, discovering that we have toes and fingers, and try to figure out why we can't get them all into our mouth at the same time. Hopefully that's before the age of 15, just saying. The next layer is the next immediate contact we have, which is with the people who are looking after us, shaping our reality, teaching us how to be. The third layer is when we become aware of our surroundings. The next layer is when we leave that immediate space and go into the larger world, and we come into connection with people and machines and activities and events and locations. And each one of those presents an opportunity for us to connect or find conflict with. So as we learn in those layers, that is how they're stored in our subconscious brain for survival. Because we are what is known as a sentient being, in that we can think in the present, also remember the past, and project to the future, we also have the capacity to focus on those other two realities instead of this one here. Again, for survival. But now I'm going to bring us back to the theme today. If you are not fully present, then you are bringing baggage. You are bringing something from then, or you're bringing something you're focused on for there. And what you're delivering to me, how you're engaging with me, is not 100% capacity. Who loses? Who loses in that? We both do. And then, because life is a series of ripple effects, I'll tell you who else loses. And that is everyone else that we come in conflict or contact with. Because what we bring is a less than satisfying experience, memory, outcome. So what I want to share with you today, a couple of stories and a couple of hacks, okay? Sit first. My throat is dry in the morning, It's because I haven't I haven't spoken in hours, right? So I was once asked, here's a moment in time, picture my face. I received a telephone call. This is a number of years ago now when I was out still actually doing the kids show. Received a phone call from a government agency in the small town I was living in just outside of Ottawa. Yes, Abby, hi. It's so and so from parenting services. Yes? Yes. I knew it wasn't a wrong number because she knew my name. I said, how on earth could I possibly help you? It seemed reasonable. And she laughed. And she said, oh, Abby, I just love your humor. I watch you all the time. So we're having a workshop with young parents. And I thought it would be really helpful if you took the keynote speaker role in this. I burst out laughing. And she said, no, I'm not joking. It's a paid gig. And I said, okay, I'm not laughing at the offer. And thank you. And I'm very excited and very interested. My question is, uh, from what evidence has it occurred to you that I would be helpful to young parents? And she said, oh, well, the show. And I said, so those aren't actually my children. You know that. I'm not actually married to Leslie. You know that, right? It's TV fiction. She said, oh, yes. But you give such great advice. I said, you know that's scripted, right? You know that mom is an idiot, right? And she said, yes, but I'm riveted by it. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll do it. That will teach you. So I went. And I'm sitting there. I have no idea what to expect, but and there were I think there were 10 couples, something like that, 20 people, and her and me. And she said, Abby Hagyard has been invited today to bring some humor and some objectivity to the stress that we're all feeling these days as parents. And I felt that if we had a conversation with her, she would obviously have some life advice because she's Abby, and she would also make us laugh. And sometimes that's what we really need. And I thought, oh, all right, well, now this makes sense. And by the way, just as a segue, and it's an accidental plug, Fox TV Tampa, Orlando, and Gainesville did a feature on me a couple of weeks ago on Florida Tonight. If you go on their website, I think you can probably still see it. And the only reason I mention it is that at the end of it, Eric Cups, who put the whole thing together and was amazing, Eric. And we had so much fun. He said, sometimes all you really need is a hug from mom. Take it from someone who knows. So when I went to this parenting workshop and I realized that's what she was really doing, I thought, okay, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. And I'm 100% in. So, but what I created was an exercise. And it's a wonderful exercise. And when we are working together, thee and me, when you come to my workshops, we're going to be doing the exercises that I talk about. We're going to be doing the illustrations of the stories that I share, and I'm going to be giving you the tools that I talk about, okay? Because they work. Simple. They work. They're entertaining. They're fun. They're aha-ing, and they work. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here if they didn't. So this is what I did. And every time I've done it, it's a riot. And you can do it just with, if you get together with a couple of friends at a house party or something, you should try it. And then let me know how it works, right? How it went. Okay. So this is what you can say. You can say, I was watching Abby Hagyard. Are you watching her videos? I was watching Abby Hagyard the other day, and she had this exercise. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try it because it just looks like so much fun. So what I said to them was, I'm going to show you what baggage looks like. And I'm going to show you how frustrating it is. And I'm going to show you how we just unconsciously, literally without thinking, acquire baggage. We can see it, we're juggling it, and yet we're not really aware that it's baggage because we picked it up. We think it's essential. So here's what I did. I walked around the room, and at everywhere somebody was sitting, I picked up one of their things. And I said, I'm not a kleptomaniac. I'm going to give it back. I just want to show you something. So in front of some person, I picked up a pen. And then in front of another person, I picked up a nail file. And in front of another person, I picked up a notebook. And in front of another person, I just went around the room. And by the time I was done, I had 20 things. And one was a coat, and the other was a backpack. So I had all the little stuff, and then I had stuff I'd draped. And then I got to the door, and I said to the organizer, ask me to take something from your hand. Pick up something in front of you and hold it out and say, here, take this. And she said, how? And I said, what do you mean how? Pick it up, hold out your hand and say, take this. And she said, yes, but, and I said, no, don't worry about me. Just do you. So she's laughing, and the young parents are laughing because I'm this. And she said, okay, Abby. And she picked up whatever it was, and she held it in her hand, and she said, take this. And I said, now? And then I nodded, and she said, yes. And I said, okay. And I dropped everything else. I didn't drop it. I just put everything else down, and I stood up, and I said, give it to me. And she laughed, and everybody else laughed. And I said, do you see what I just did there? I said, a really dumb person would have tried to take on one more thing and do it badly. What I did was prioritize me and my success with you. And I'm pointing to the coordinator. And I said, because you asked, and I respect you, I deleted everything else that I had on my mind at the forefront of my thoughts or physically in my arms. I deleted them in order to be able to give you the 100% you deserve. And by the way, me, the 100% capacity that I require to give you the 100% you deserve. And then I turned to the parents and I said, if you think you can juggle being you, being a partner, being a parent, being whatever you do for a living, being whoever you are to your siblings and your parents and your friends, being however you are recognized or perceived in your community, simultaneously, you're going to have a very unhappy life, and your children are going to grow up wondering why they weren't your priority. I said, baggage is stuff. Love, children, life, connection, purpose, self-worth. This is what matters. If we can't give ourselves permission to experience 100%, to give 100%, to receive 100%, we should stay home. Simple as that. Because no one appreciates someone who is only halfway there. No one appreciates someone who is an ominist, who spends their valuable time with us, telling us what's wrong with us when we didn't ask. And frankly, Scarlett, don't care what you think. because if we cared, we would have asked. So we either show up or stay home. Is there a door number 3? Yes. Yes, there's a door number 3. And the door number 3 is check your baggage frequently. It doesn't mean that you live a life of exclusion and you only do one thing. We're a little too busy for that. Good morning, Rhea. We're talking about barnacle buddies again. Why is it I'm talking about that every time you appear? Every single time we think we can take on one more, we're wrong. Plain and simple, we're wrong. Every single time we feel that we can live our life to its fullest and then step in and tell other people how to live theirs, we're wrong. Plain and simple. Did they ask? Are we qualified? Are we setting our stuff aside in order to give you 100%? No, we're wrong. How does it improve? How does it improve? We pay attention to one thing, and that is 100% is the best. Correct? Is the best the least we deserve? Yes? Yes? If it's the least we deserve, is it the least they deserve? Yes? When somebody says, would you like to come over? And you say, yeah. And then they say, I'm going to be busy while you're here. I'm cleaning the apartment and I'm doing laundry and I'm giving myself a self pedicure. But I was figuring that, you'd be able to just chatter on and I would not have to turn on the stereo or the TV to have noise in the apartment. Are you still going over? Or are you saying, yes. Yes, Freddie. There's Freddie. Freddie is so brilliant. Freddie just typed mom at a parenting seminar. There's a log line. There's a log line for a sitcom right there. It says it all. Rhea, you are definitely the positive barnacle. Good people stick together. Yes, we do. So back to the point. Have you ever made the decision to show up free and clear? Have you said, you know what, I've made breakfast, so I'm going to eat my breakfast. I got some notes to take, and I got my coffee. And while I'm doing all of that, I can watch Abby's video. Sure you can. Sure you can watch it. Sure you can have it on in the background. You going to retain it? Are you going to send me one of those helpful little notes that says, so I had it playing in the background. I'm going to have to watch it again. Yeah. Yeah. So on the serious side of this conversation, cheers again. I interviewed a woman once. She had been victimized a number of times by pretty much everybody who had been an authority figure in her life. And as a result, not diagnosed at the time, she suffered not only from grand mal epilepsy, which was triggered when her former husband hit her over the back of the head with a crowbar and left her to die, and she survived. Her complex PTSD was off the charts. And after I had interviewed her and I had gone into with her and her hero white knight second husband who commissioned the project, and I discovered all the ways in which she had been set up to fail and how she gravitated to people who had that capacity for sadistic behavior because she didn't know anything else. And in all the time, because she struggled to um, process things, read things because of the head injury, I would bring the content that I had transcribed from our conversations, and we would read them aloud. She and her new husband and I, to discuss whether or not that it felt like it was right. It hit all the right notes. It sounded like her. It felt like her, and it took a long time for us to get that content together because it was such a painstaking exercise. So what I learned from that experience with her and her husband, and then meeting all the people that I subsequently interviewed for it's a collection of 3 books actually. And I interviewed other survivors of things, and I interviewed white knights who had rescued people from things, and I interviewed victims of of things. And I came to understand something so profound and important about us, me first, and then realizing that it's the ripple effect echoes, and it's this. Ultimately, how we evaluate the purpose of something. This is a pen. I call it a weapon of mass construction, right? Um, this is a nail file. This is a cell phone. This is my favorite coffee mug. How I evaluate them for efficiency and pleasability is based on every subjective test that I can apply. Objectively, other people would make different choices. When I wrote the Fame book and I interviewed so many kids from the show and other professionals in the industry, and I asked each one of them their definition of fame, I was quite surprised that I interviewed 25 people. I got 25 completely different definitions of fame, and yet we were all famous. And again, I realized that it is completely subjective. We can only see it through our eyes, through our filter, through our previous experiences. And so the same is true for our definitions of things. Excellence has a different meaning for each of us. Success has a different meaning. Resilience has a different meaning. Love, loyalty, integrity, morality, commitment, purpose, discipline, focus, energy, creativity, love, loss, grief. All of these, everything that collectively we experience together, that we identify as understanding what it means to us and to each other, they're all completely subjective. And so when we get together with people, it's easy to make a mistake. It's easy to have missed or mixed signals because we all assume that when I mean this, you get it. How we can make it more clear is this thing that I do every day when I'm out in public and I bump into somebody, like in the lobby of the building or in the elevator. You got nothing to do for 30 seconds. You might as well say something rather than just stand there pretending you're alone. And I always say, so on a scale of 1 to 10 so far, how's the day? And the reason I do that, instead of saying, hi, what a great day, right? The reason I don't do that is because it's the day, oh, yes, I have no idea what they mean. They have no idea what I mean. It's just noise, words. There's no talking going on. If I say on a scale of 1 to 10, how's the day going so far? All of a sudden, we are about to have a conversation because I have made it specific about them now. So very funny. Yesterday, I got on the elevator and there's some construction going on in the building, and 2 floors down, door open, bing, and one of the painters got on. And he looked ready to just lie down on a cool tile and sob quietly in a corner. He just looked, and it was 11 o'clock in the morning. Like he still had He's still miles to go before he sleeps. And I said, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how's the day so far? And he looked at me and he said, I don't know, 5. And I said, 5 at 11 o'clock on a Monday? You got the whole week ahead of you? And he said, I know, right? And I said, all right, no, give me a minute. And he pushed ground, so we had a few floors. And I said, all right, here's the spin. You ready? And he said, yes. And I said, it's not a 3. He burst in, went blank, and then he laughed. And he said, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I said, so now is it like a 5.5? And he said, yeah, it is. It is. I said, all right then. I said, don't let the little things get you down. Let the big ones. And he burst out laughing. And he said, you're crazy. Got off the elevator. It made my day because the energy that he got off the elevator surrounded by was not the energy that surrounded him when he got on. And that was 6 floors. What did that give me? I'm not a do-gooder. I'm not a Pollyanna. It gave me the backdraft, the ripple effect of his shift out of and into. It pulled him away from the weight of the baggage. It surprised him into setting it down, even if he had to pick it up again. The thing is that he set it down. He laughed hard, which is really good oxygen coming back in to get everything working again. And it shifted him out of the only thing he could see was negativity. He caught a glimpse of all the other things that it is. And that didn't take a whole lot of effort. That just took intention. So when I'm saying today, not do it or how to do it, because we will get to that. I will walk you through how you set down the thing that is this. It's not simple because we are trying to hang on to it. We feel it's important. We are clutching all that baggage. We have given ourselves a task. We want to carry it through. There is a way to reverse that decision and still be who you promised you'd be, just more efficiently, more beneficially, less ominosity. That's not a word either. That I will get into on another ABCAST. Just know that I'm telling you today, there is a technique, there is a strategy, and it is learnable, repeatable, doable, and therefore habitual very quickly. I promise you. I'm the walking proof. So while I have told you, I'll tell you how later, I always give you a tool today. And so I'm going to do that. Okay. Give me 1 second. What's this? Sorting out the signals. Barnacle buddies. Oh, Freddie, what? I think you missed that video. Rhea and I were talking about a video that I had seen of ships going out from certain wildlife agencies to scrape barnacles off the backs and the sides and the fins of whales. And the reason they were doing that, whales normally go up and scrape themselves up against large ships, but sometimes there isn't a ship. And the reason they do that is not to take away the whale's natural capacity for self-care and survival. It's that the barnacles weigh the mammal down. They slow them down. And many of the whales that are swimming from one destination to another in the ocean, it's mating and calving season, and they need to get from where they were to where they need to be in the right frame of time so that the calves are born safely, so that the mating season happens in a timely fashion. If they're weighed down, I mean, one barnacle weighs nothing, but 100,000 barnacles got stuff going on. Also, they attach, they're sharp, so they cut the skin, the surface of the mammal. So you're injured, and they can become infected. It can create illness, and it can have a crippling outcome as well. So I called them barnacle buddies. And then Rhea found a great drawing and sent it to me. It's cartoon barnacles on top of a fish, right? And so the barnacle buddy is having a great time with the other barnacle buddies. The host, not so much. It's a parasitic relationship. And so most of the time, a parasite that's left on a host eventually kills the host, right? Because it sucks all the vital juice. And then a parasite can either then transfer or dies as well. In human relationships, in human situations, in human interactions, when our connections become conflict, because the reason for the connection has turned sour for some reason, and going down the rabbit hole of asking why doesn't get us to our outcome. Our outcome is, how do we do this thing that Abby's talking about? Because the visual of just drop everything is a visual in terms of intention. It's not practical, right? So I had a situation in which someone who had been a positive influence in my life, some element had happened in on their path that I was not aware of, don't know what it is still to this day. However, what had begun to happen slowly, incrementally, and then gradually increasingly was that this person who had been a connection for me began creating conflict, small, low heat, back burner on the stove moments of conflict, of irritation, of complaint, of push, of boundary poaching. And while I noticed it, it was inconsequential. And based on the years and years and years of connection, bad day for them, not a big deal. I'm good. I've got it. Except that, going back to my analogy at the parenting conference, I ended up carrying the baggage of every single one of those events that was not addressed, that was not dismissed, that was not turned around or closed, because I let them ride free on me. And they became barnacle buddies. And it slowed down my momentum. It distracted me from my purpose. And then there was this underlying, nagging, slightly toxic feeling of unwellness that began to reappear. And finally, one day, I took action. In effect, I went and found a ship and scraped off all of those things and swam away to continue on my path to do what I do. And we don't do that for all kinds of reasons. And the purpose behind Pivotry in Motion, educating you to the concept that there is such a thing as a Milo moment. A Milo, if you look it up, is an early seed that sprouts first in the season. The Milo is the first. It's like the early bird catches something. The Milo moment is the moment we realize we have bookmarked an event, a person, a belief, an idea, a purpose, a strategy, an outcome. We have been moving toward it. We have been dealing with it. We have been struggling with it. We have adapted to it. We have compromised ourselves and our principles in order to entertain it. And then we hit that moment. And in that moment, the early warning, that moment, we hear the small voice say, not good enough. Until that moment, we have said, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'm okay. It's not that bad. No, it's okay. I got this. When we hit our Milo moment and the voice says, it's not good enough, that I can compromise, that I can compensate, that I can carry that, does not mean I should. That I believe somehow, I've convinced myself somehow that I can divide my 100% and give away part of it to whatever that toxic, unhelpful thing is incorrect. Why am I sacrificing? Why am I compromising? Why am I agreeing to deliver less to me and less to thee for the sake of that, which is doing nothing but ride free and compromise me? That is really dumb. If someone says, yeah, I'm doing that, my response is, are you listening to you? That makes no sense whatsoever. What happens to us is this. It's not that we're Mother Teresa. It's not that we're Pollyannas. It's not that we're do-gooders. It's that we just added one more thing. And then we added one more thing. And then we added one more thing. Because each individual thing, oh, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, what the hell? Sure, just, and then all of a sudden, somebody hands us that straw, that final straw. The camel says, I don't think so, Tim. And we say, how did that happen? How did that happen? Why have I been enjoying everything less and less and less on purpose? What was I thinking? And the answer is we weren't. We were going along to get along. We were, that old image of a grist mill, and there's an animal, a donkey usually, and he's tied to the wheel, and he's got his head, and he's just walking, plodding, and his head is pushing the wheel. It's before they got automation. The donkey's not counting the steps. The donkey's doing it until somebody stops, unties him, and feeds him lunch. And then after lunch, they tie him up again and he starts again. That's not a plan. That's not a strategy. That's not a goal. It's not even a path. It's autopilot. And so many of us are living autopilot lives these days. And we don't know it because it's on autopilot. And what it's taking from me to thee are these wake-up call videos, these ABCASTs, where I'm saying, is this a problem? Good. I'll tell you a story, and then I'll give you a tool. So here's the tool for today that I want you to take away. I want you to get your weapon of mass construction. I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to draw 2 vertical lines so you end up with 3 columns. And at the top, you're going to put a heading, okay? And the one on the left says, what am I doing? This is for your later folder, by the way. What am I doing? It's a separate page on the later folder. What am I doing? Second column, why? Third column, do I like it? What am I doing? Why do I like it? Helping a friend, driving someone to work, bringing stuff to the bake sale, cleaning up after somebody else who didn't clean up their room, being the first person to call, being the last person to say goodnight, offering to volunteer, waiting because the other person is always late. Any number of things. Allowing someone to tell you how to live your life. Allowing someone to tell you what is wrong with you when you didn't ask. All the things that set you up, that become the baggage you pick up. That's your self-diagnostic. That's the beginning. That's where to start before we start to fix it. Okay? After you've done 1 or 2 things, have a look at what I'm doing and find the one that really irks you the most. Find the one that is really starting to bug you. That's the one you and I are going to talk about when we do our 15 minutes. Okay? That's the one I'm going to give you the tool to work around. And I'm not saying that when you allow yourself to do these things and you give yourself permission to fill your arms and your head and your body and your energy and your mind, your heart with baggage you don't need. I'm not saying that you yell and you drop everything and you draw a harsh line in the sand and say, be gone, never, I divorce thee, I'd never speak to me. I'm not saying that you do that. I'm saying there's always door number 3, and door number 3 is this. That's my line in the sand. And I'm going to love you from afar. For now, maybe longer, until I sort me out. I'm on the inside of the heart, and everything else is there. I need space, I need time, and I need to focus on me to do my reset, my rethink, my recharge, so I can return to the essential me, right? So after today's video, I would love to get a comment from you to say, I love the hack. What am I doing? Why do I like it? I love it. I'm using it. It was so great, Maggie, when you reached out and you said, and I've made a later folder. It's so awesome when people realize that there is a tool they can use that is simple and easy and works. So it's 11 o'clock, 11:04. Every time I finish my videos, and this is $3.99. So Thursday, you need to join me. Thursday is the ABCAST 400. Oh my. Every time I finish my videos, I say the same thing. This would not be happening without you. It's a team effort. It's not a spectator sport. It's us doing this together, rowing together to get where we want to be. So, having said that, thank you. Be good to you. You deserve it. And remember to hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. And I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.